So, right, I am Amy Nelson Green, and I work at Willamette University. Part of my role there is as one of our study abroad advisors for Willamette students who are going abroad on a variety of different programs. I work with all of our Spanish speaking programs, and another one of my roles is to work with the Granada program. Along with our director, Dr. Chris Liu. And so my role primarily, and the way I would work with you is, once you have applied on your home campus and been approved to study abroad in Granada, then I start working with you during the pre-departure process to get you enrolled in the program and make sure that we get all of your information to Granada and help get you prepared on that end. So that's sort of the primary way that I will be working with you, hopefully in the future, in terms of getting prepared for the program. So, all right, so I am going to just share my screen here and give a quick overview. Right, some of you may have had some of this information already. We'll try to go through it pretty succinctly so that we can kind of get on to more of your questions and make sure that we get the information to you that you're looking for today. So, okay. And please holler at me if anything comes up throughout the presentation. Sometimes it's hard for me to track like specific questions or if something goes sideways here. So okay, so hopefully you are looking at a gorgeous, lovely picture of the spectacular Alhambra, which is really the heart of the city of Granada. And as Carmen mentioned, this is a consortium program. So this program is administered by Willamette University, but really is a program sort of owned by and participated in by all of the members of the Alaka Consortium, which include Puget Sound and also Pacific Lutheran, Gonzaga, Whitworth, University of Portland, Lewis and Clark, and Willamette. So students from all of those different universities are participating in the program. And so that's one of the things that I think students enjoy about the program is that you get to know students from across the Northwest. It's a real sort of blending of students from a variety of schools. So I think that adds a nice component. I like this quote because I feel like this program in particular is really intentionally designed to take you beyond just seeing the sights of Granada and of Spain and really get you stepping into the culture and really learning the culture and understanding people from within. So really helping you to develop those new eyes, as the quote says. Just a really quick overview, this program offers a fall semester, which runs from approximately late August to late December, and a spring semester, which runs from early January to late May. So you can see there that the spring semester is about a month longer than the fall semester. So for those of you who have flexibility either way, that's just something to consider as you're thinking about, which time period might be more appealing to you. And this is a program that is really packed full in both semesters. So either semester that you choose, you can kind of see down the side there. We'll talk about some of these elements of the program as we go along, but it's really a program that has a tremendous amount included for, the cost that you're paying to your home university. So as a city, Granada, you can see there the population is about 232,000, a moderate sized city. It's a city where really the sort of that old world history surrounds you sort of everywhere you go. And yet the city of Granada itself is, very modern and vibrant. You're close to both the mountains and the coastline, so it's easy to get, to either of those locations outside of Granada within an hour or two in either direction. Granada is a very walkable city. So students will say, you are going to walk a lot while you're there throughout a semester. And it's just really a part of the culture of the city. People walk everywhere. And therefore students are, usually walking pretty much everywhere you go, back and forth to class from your homestay. And really just pretty much every time you're out in the city, usually everyone's kind of walking everywhere. So uh, on this program, as a student, you'll have a home in Granada with a host family. So usually it's 2 students from the program per host family. And those host families, can look very different, kind of depending on your placement. You may be with a family who is, an older couple whose children are grown. You may be with a younger family who has young children at home. You may be with a single woman who's looking to bring students into the house. So those host families can really look different from placement to placement. But again, usually 2 students from the program, which is another element that students seem to really appreciate. There's someone there to navigate that relationship with, to help with conversation around the table, those kinds of things. And Maria, one of our program coordinator in Granada, she's the one who does all of the matching of students to host families. And she does this process, very diligently, very carefully. Many of the host families, or most of the host families, have worked with this program and hosted our students for many years. So she knows them very well. And she does a really good job of connecting, working with the information that you provide about what you're looking for in a homestay and matching families and students. So I think she does a really good job of that. And the homestay becomes kind of a cornerstone of your experience there. Okay, so the academic program, the first week that you're in Granada, you're doing orientation, you're getting settled in, you're doing a level placement so that you can begin the intensive language class. And so the program starts with a 3-week intensive language. You get 60 contact hours within those 3 weeks. So it is intense. It's a lot of Spanish right at the beginning, but that's primarily what you're focused on. So as you can see there, it's 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday. That can be really tiring, but it's really intended to jumpstart your language in this period of time where you're getting settled in. Everything's really new. You're sort of figuring out how things work and how to get around and all of that. So it's a time where you really get to just kind of focus in on jumpstarting your language and getting ready to start classes at the Center for Modern Languages. So another core piece of the program, and a class that does start at the beginning alongside the intensivo, is the Development of Spanish Cultures class. And this is a class that's taught by our program director and program coordinator, Mark and Maria, and Alfonso, who also assists, and he does mostly the guided visits within Granada and excursion work as well. So the 3 of them team teach the development of Spanish cultures. And this is a course that includes both a classroom component as well as it's integrated into the excursions that you take outside of Granada. So there's a number of excursions that you'll go on, and this course is a really important piece of that, so that those excursions are an academic experience, again, taking you beyond just the sightseeing into actually understanding what you're looking at in a more academic way. So I think students have really valued that component of those excursions, because you're really learning a tremendous amount while you're getting to see some other parts of Spain. So again, this is sort of one of the core pieces of the program, the heart of your learning about Spanish culture and Spanish people throughout the semester. Okay, so then after that first month, you finish the intensivo class. The development of Spanish cultures continues on, and then you begin other classes that you'll be taking from the Center for Modern Languages. And this is a language institute. You can see the space there, the center itself in the photo. The Center for Modern Languages is a language institute that's part of the University of Granada. And so this is an institute where Spanish students may be there taking, French classes or, other languages. Our students, you would be there taking courses, the topics courses that are offered that are all taught in Spanish, but they're taught for learners of Spanish. So it feels really different than a course that would be taught for native speakers. It's more at your level of language. And it also means that you are not in class alongside Spanish students. You're in class alongside, other international students who are at the CLM studying, and then other ALACA students who are taking the same class as you are. So, but these are courses that are all taught in Spanish. They're in a range of different subject areas from, literature, history, art history, politics. So it's just a broad range of courses. So one of the course options that you have as part of the CLM classes, and this is optional, is what's called the Programa de Prácticas. And this is an internship or service option that you can choose in a variety of different areas. You can see there are opportunities for business internships, healthcare internships, placements in education and schools, and then social service agencies, which is a little bit more like a volunteer program with a different, range of different possibilities in each of those. And these are, while they're optional courses, they are for credit. So they would be one of your course choices from the CLM. So they're credited internships. There's a 45 contact hour commitment that you make in one of these placement areas. The business and healthcare internships are only available for students who place into the more advanced language levels. You need a little bit more foundation of language for those placements. The education and social service placements are available at all the levels in the program. So. And these are, just really great opportunities. If you have a professional interest in one of these areas, it's a really good way to get a little bit of professional experience and develop your language skills, develop vocabulary around business or healthcare, for example. And it's a good way to get connected within the community in ways that the program doesn't already provide for, in your classes and in your homestay. This is really a different, unique way to get connected within the community and meet some other meet people, within the regular community. Okay, and the last piece of the academic part of the program is that within spring semester, and this only happens in the spring, we do send a visiting professor, typically a Spanish professor from one of the ALACA member institutions, will go on the program and teach one course. And the class is usually in, literature or film studies or something in that range. This is a course that's going to be taught in spring of 22. The visiting professor is Professor Garcia Torvisco from Gonzaga. And so he's going to be going and teaching this particular course. This is an optional course, it's not required, but it's always, a nice opportunity to have that additional class option that's very centered on taking advantage of the location of Granada and of, that region of Spain. And then that professor also provides, provides support within the program, participates in all the excursions, those kinds of things. So it's just an added support person that you have available there throughout the semester too. Okay, this is a quick kind of visual of some of those additional excursions we talked about. In addition to local visits within and right around Granada, throughout the semester there will be built-in group excursions, which are integrated into the course, the Development of Spanish Cultures course, and take you throughout different areas of Spain. Again, with that sort of academic component. So really blending it into understanding sort of the historical development of different, peoples and cultures within the peninsula. So typically these excursions include places like Ronda and Sevilla and Cordoba. The big excursion is 5 days to Madrid, and you visit like surrounding areas outside of Madrid as well. So those happen throughout the semester on a set schedule. Now, this is one of those areas that, as we look ahead to the coming year, this might be one of those areas that gets modified a little bit as we're responding to, whatever the current protocols are around, COVID and the pandemic. But this is sort of the structure of the excursions that have been typical. And then there's a number of other opportunities you can take advantage of throughout, your time there. There's language exchange opportunities. Again, these are optional, but this is the intercambio program where, you can do this in groups or one-on-one, where you could meet with local Spanish students who are looking to have an English conversant partner, where you get together, maybe every couple of weeks or so and do some language exchange back and forth, where part of your time you're, speaking in Spanish and part of your time you're speaking maybe in English. And so this is a good way for some students have used to get to know local Spanish students since you're not in class with them every day. This is just another opportunity that you have to connect with local students. For some, it's been a really great opportunity where they've gotten to know their intercambio partners, friends, and it's really become a way for them to connect well. For others, it's just been a nice, bit of time speaking with a local native speaker every couple of weeks. So it can kind of be what you want it to be in that regard. That was fancy. And so then, of course, then there's, you will have free time throughout a week as you get kind of settled into your daily and weekly routines. And so students have, also found lots of ways to take advantage of other activities. These are things that are not necessarily, like set up for you, but they're opportunities you can explore. If you have a particular interest, it's a really good idea to make that known and to find ways that you can pursue that while you're in Granada. Because again, it's another way that you can connect with people with similar interests and maybe get connected within the community as well. So a good example of a former Puget Sound student who had done this is Jordan, who was there in 2019. And as a musician, she found a way to get connected with a local music group in the community. And so she was able to play on a regular basis with this community group. And then she was there in the spring. And so that led her to playing with this community group in a Semana Santa processional throughout the city. So not only did she certainly did not stand on the sidelines and watch the processional during the Semana Santa. She was a part of the processional because she was able to play with this group. So there's a video of that on our website. I can point that out if that's not something that you have found before. But it's just a good example of how if you make your interests known, that some really unique and interesting opportunities can come along if you kind of put yourself out there and look for those. Okay, we're almost done. So really quickly, I just wanted to mention sort of the final thing, aspect of the program that we offer is the DELE exam. And the DELE is a proficiency exam. It's a kind of a standardized proficiency test that you will take at the end of the semester. And this will, if you pass the DELE exam at the level that which you take, then you'll receive a diploma that's issued to you. And it's just a nice way of identifying, the proficiency level that you achieve throughout that semester. It's something that we encourage students put on their resume, and especially if you are thinking about using Spanish in a professional way, as you go forward, it's a way to really concretely demonstrate what your proficiency level is using this exam, which is recognized throughout the Spanish-speaking world. So it's a thing that's, not typically included in most study abroad programs. So we're really proud that we can offer that for students. And I think it's something that, students who, go on from the program they do really appreciate that they have this and can kind of show for sure what that, demonstrate what their proficiency level has been. So that's sort of the final touch of what's offered in the program. So I will stop sharing my screen here in just a minute, and we can take a look maybe at the program website or other, get to some of your questions. But it shows you our Go Granada website. always available with if you have questions too. I mean, certainly, we want you to use the resources there on your campus, but if you had specific questions, you could always reach us at our email address at thegogranada@willamette.edu. So, okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Mostly, I just wanted to show off our nice picture of Granada there. All right. So that was the quick overview. So we can do questions. Does anybody have specific questions based on any of that?
So Amy, I have just a bit of information about sort of the process of study abroad through Puget Sound. I just wanted to make sure that students are aware. If you're interested in studying abroad and haven't done so yet, we have on our website, I'm going to put the link in the chat box here, but it's also readily available on our website, that if you're interested in moving forward, the first thing you'll want to do is fill out what's called the interest form, and that will sort of get you into our system at UPS in the study abroad office advising process. From there, you'll be sent a link to watch sort of a first steps video, which gives an overview of just general information like how do credits work, how do finances work, and I'm happy to talk about that here too, but just so you know, it's also available as a recording for you later so you can reference that back to that, excuse me. So one thing to really keep in mind that I just want to put out there and remind people about is that we have our own application deadline at UPS, and that is January 22nd. So that does come up pretty quickly because that deadline, it's a singular deadline for either the fall or the spring semester of next year. And it's a little bit hard to wrap your head around what next year is going to look like right now, I know. So it seems like, I don't know, very far away into the future. But if you do want to be considered for study abroad for next year, have your name in the hat, then January 22nd is our application deadline. And our website gives an overview of what the steps are for that application. So you'll apply by January 22nd. You'll hear back within a few weeks from the Office of International Programs. Your application will actually be reviewed by a faculty committee for approval. And then once you're approved by us, you're essentially accepted into the program, but then there will be some additional sort of enrollment pieces that you'll do with or through Willamette University. I think I'll leave it there for now and just see if anybody has questions. You can either, you can type it into the chat or just type a Q into chat or shout it out. We'll give a few minutes for questions to come in, and then after that I can talk a little bit more about the general process for study abroad. Anything at this point? I have two little kids in my background who are screaming and playing right now, so sorry if you can hear that noise.
I didn't hear them at all.
Okay, good. I can. All right. Any specific questions from anyone?
Yeah, I did.
Great, Christina.
I was just wondering, are sophomores available to do this, or is it just a specific year in which you can?
Great question. So at Puget Sound, you have to be in at least the spring semester of your sophomore year. So you could go as early, if you're a first year student now, you could go as early as next year, spring semester. You have to have at least 4 semesters or the equivalent, preferably 5, of Spanish as a prerequisite. So that would be the equivalent of 202 would be considered the 4th semester of Spanish at Puget Sound. So the language prereq is probably the more confining piece.
I see we have a question about how many people usually get accepted in a semester. Mm-hmm. So let you answer that first from your point of view, and then I'll talk about group sizes maybe.
Yeah, we don't have a limit on the number of students that get accepted to Granada. Honestly, I see next year as being lower enrolled just because of the the climate and what's going on. So if you meet the prerequisites for the language, you also have to have a 3.0 GPA for this particular program, then I wouldn't see any reason to be worried about getting accepted.
And overall, our group sizes in Granada from all of the schools in the consortium generally average historically between 35 and 45 students, depending on the semester. Again, it's hard to predict what this upcoming year will look like. You know, there's, you know, I mean, in terms of whether it will be a little bit lower enrolled, potentially spring semester 22 might be a bump because more students are thinking, you know, okay, well, that might be a little bit safer to, you know, think about, or just, you know, a little further out, so it's a little easier to do planning, longer range planning for that. And because we know that there are some students who had intended to go this academic year who weren't able to, that might be deferring into next year too. So it's hard to predict what this next year will look like.
Are there a certain amount of courses that need to be completed during the program? So typically students would take 5 classes per semester. That's what I've seen. Is that correct, Amy? Is that what you see mostly, with the intensivo at the beginning and then 4 classes after that?
Right. So the program is actually divided into 2 levels. There's the more advanced level, the Estudios Hispánicos, and then there's the upper intermediate level, which is Lengua y Cultura. And everybody takes intensivo, everybody takes development of Spanish culture. So there's 2 core classes. Each one of those levels have like 1 or 2 additional core classes depending on the level. And then you would usually choose maybe 2 or 3 of the CLM classes as electives to fill in. So right, I would say mostly students are going to end up with about 5 classes. But keep in mind that that intensivo is only the first few weeks and then that drops away. So then you carry on with maybe more like 4 classes at a time potentially.
I have a related question. If we have students who actually have studied previously in Spain, can they waive that language intensivo? Or do they still need to take the intensivo?
I think typically students would still take it. The CLM offers a very wide range of language levels. So even though, you know, within our program we have sort of 2 basic levels, within that there are a far greater range of more precise language levels that the CLM can accommodate. So, I mean, we've seen, you know, a number of native speakers on the program, and they have still, you know, been taking courses within the CLM, maybe focusing in on, you know, specific areas of language, but most students will still take that course.
Thank you.
Annika asked, application for next spring, when does that open for Granada? So the application for Puget Sound to study abroad is available currently on our website. I'm going to share my screen really quick just so you can see what this looks like if you haven't gone there already. Just a moment. And this is, can you see this? Okay.
Yes.
So applying for study abroad, it's not a very pretty website, but it does give sort of a step-by-step. So we have some FAQs here on the website, the interest form, which is what I mentioned, that'll sort of get the process starting for you. So I know some of you have done that and gotten farther along in this process already, but if you haven't done it, that would be your next step after this if you want to move forward. The Study Abroad First Steps video, which I mentioned, and then typically we'll have students meet one-on-one with a study abroad advisor, so either myself or one of my other 2 colleagues in the Office of International Programs. And then this here list of, or where it says explore, that's where you'll find our list of programs, and from there you can open up an application for either the fall or the spring semester of next year. And just again reiterating the January 22nd deadline for that application piece. And then, like I said, there's sort of a separate enrollment process with Willamette. And maybe Amy, can you talk about sort of what that entails and timeline for that?
Yeah, sure. So the enrollment process again happens after you've done your application at Puget Sound and been approved by Puget Sound to study on the program. And then in the semester before you're going to study in Granada, then we'll begin working with you on the enrollment process. For fall semester, typically we start that either late February or right around the 1st of March. And for spring semester, we start that, you know, maybe at the very beginning, late August or beginning of September. And then, you know, we have a portal that we would have you, you know, log into and set up. It's less of an application, that's why we call it the enrollment process. And so, because really we're just, you know, seeking to collect the information we need from you. So, you know, course selection lists, so what courses you want to take while you're in Granada. We do a pre-registration for students for those classes, so that's an important part of that pre-departure process. Collecting homestay information from you, what you're looking for in a homestay, other really important information that will help Maria to place you with a family, that's part of that process. So there's a number of steps in that enrollment process. We kind of guide you through it. Once you get into the portal, there's lots of pre-departure information for you that's in that portal. So we give you a lot of information right at the beginning about the program, what to expect, you know, in arrival, how to arrive, how to get there. You know, that kind of information is all part of that pre-departure process. So most of that functions all through our portal and the work we do with you, but then, you know, I am emailing out frequently during that time with other information and, you know, that kind of thing. So you get a lot in those few months leading up to your departure.
Thank you. Other questions? Feel free to shout them out or type them in the chat box. Amy, would you ever, do you mind pulling up the Willamette website or the Go Granada website and just share how to kind of navigate that a little bit?
Is there anybody in this group who's already found their way through? I don't know, do you all link into the Alaka page?
We do.
Has anybody found your way through to the Alaka page yet? Like, I don't have a prize to give you, but I'll show a little. Okay, let me show you the page. There's some good information here. Let me get it shared. Okay, so hopefully you're yet seeing a different view of the fantabulous Alhambra. Okay, so this is the primary page. This is, you know, when you use that shortened Go Granada, so willamette.edu/go/Granada. You can also get here, but through your Puget Sound page as well. So this is the kind of the consortium web page. Willamette has had a redesign of its website very recently, and so this is not quite what it used to be. So we have to do a little work to it, and we don't have access to really get in there and completely fix it up. So keep in mind that there is a menu right up here at the top right. So there's some different information here for you, including the important course list. But these are all what they filled with information about the program. There's a few things I do want to point out. Again, sort of we've lost some of our thumbnails, which would make this seem more exciting to look at. But we do have a fairly new, just a short, quick 3-minute little video about See Yourself in Granada, just a compilation of the last few years of programs. You can kind of get a sense of what it's like for students on the program. If you click on this about Granada, this link here is the Granada program overview. This is a bit longer video with some interviews with past students from the program. You'll get a bit of interview with Mark Bennett too, our program director, and hear from some of the one of the host families is interviewed. So this is a really great place to come, and if you have a few extra minutes, I think it's 8 or 10 minutes long, so it's not super long, but it will give you a much more in-depth kind of look at the program. So that's a really nice one to take a look at. academics is kind of the big overview of the program. If you come down to living in Granada, this is where you'll get to see a little video that Jordan, who is a Puget Sound student that was in Granada in 2019, the one I talked about that played in the music group. This is a really nice video she did talking about that experience, and you get to see some clips of her in that procession. So this is another good one to check out. You know, just as you're thinking about what it might feel like to live in Granada and some of the different things that you can do while you're there. It is important to know right now, the way you get to classes until we can fix this is to come back up to this menu. And if you click on that courses link, then you'll get, and honestly, it says fall overview and spring overview. They're very similar, with the exception that the spring overview includes the ALACA visiting faculty course reference here. But then you'll see a list of kind of sample classes. I mean, this is pretty complete, although there's a few new courses that have been added that I need to get onto this website. There's one in public health, one in environmental studies, kind of broad, general, you know, using Spain as a focal point. But if those are topics you're interested in, CLM has been adding some courses like that into the mix, and I need to get those added here. But this gives you a good overview, kind of an idea of the courses. You'll see that there's a few more. So these are the courses you'd be choosing from for those CLM elective courses. You have a few more choices at the advanced level because you'll take an additional core course at the upper intermediate level, but you still have some nice options to choose from at the upper intermediate as well. So that's a good place to be looking, just to get a sense of the kind of courses that you'll be taking. Once you're into our enrollment process in that semester before you study abroad, you'll actually get access to course syllabi and all of that. So much more in-depth course information too. So, and if that's information that you need in advance because you have some, you know, very specific planning you need to do academically, we can provide those to you if you need them, you know, before you get to that enrollment point too. So, and then, you know, there's just a few other things you can poke around here at. Approved students, this is sort of for down the road, but this is where you would access the enrollment process. So a little bit later, but this gives you an idea of kind of what you can expect from that process too. Okay. Is there anything else from that, Carmen, that you can think of we should look at?
No, that's great. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah.
Another student just asked, Maddie, thank you. Are the professors native Spanish speakers or Spanish natives?
I do want to say that by and large they are. Now I can't speak for, you know, sort of all of the CLM faculty, but I do believe by and large most of them are. And of course, because all the courses are taught in Spanish, you know, they are tailored to learners of Spanish level.
I do have, yeah, sorry. I do have some students that I talk to. They're still in their first year, but I know some of them are business majors, or they're very much interested in working with NGOs, as we call them in Spanish. And I just saw that you have a programa de voluntariado.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way you could talk a little bit more, or maybe let us know where they can find more information on the internships?
Mm-hmm.
The kind of places they volunteer for, or they take internships at, if they're business majors, or
Mm-hmm. Because that's so individualized, so I mean, I don't get a list from CLM of sort of all of their placement opportunities. That's something that I want to see if we can't incorporate more into the program information that we have. The Programa de Prácticas, I think, has been running for maybe about 4 to 5 years now, that I know we have been actively promoting it for students. So it's still sort of, for us, a developing piece of the program, one we're delighted to have. But yeah, for sure, students, I mean, I know we have had students in the business placements. What I can say is that I have had some students doing the NGO options who have worked, for example, with a social service agency that specifically works with newly arrived immigrants in Granada. So helping them, get settled in the city, helping them with, adjustment, with like English, courses, different things that, in terms of their adjustment. And so, I know that I've had a couple of students from Willamette who have done those placements. I've had a student who's worked in a preschool setting. We've had students who've done healthcare placements. Those can be either in clinics or in hospitals, by and large. Very observational, right? But I think students have been able to observe a number of, you know, really interesting procedures and experiences that maybe they wouldn't normally have the opportunity to do. So yeah, and if you have a specific interest, if there's something that you're looking for, that's something that we can always get a bit more information about, like what some of the business places have been. So it's nice that we have really good communication, good access to our program director, who can usually get us the answers to lots of different questions if we don't know them already.
That's wonderful. Thanks. Yeah, I do have one student that I know he's very much interested in working with NGOs that help refugees or immigrants. Also because the location of Granada, right, is
Yes.
ideal for that kind of work.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Yes, for sure. So that one has been, I think, a popular placement.
Mhm, mhm. And another thing I wanted to add is that, if I understand correctly, one thing that makes this program very special is its concentration on intercultural competence
Yes.
and its reflective peers, which makes it very different from other programs. And also, if you're looking for like international positions once you graduate, or even at multinational enterprises, saying that you participated in a program abroad that helped you specifically to develop your intercultural competence is going to be a great bonus.
For sure, for sure. And that is a very intentional part of the program, and a piece that has been growing. So not, using Spanish culture and understanding, Spanish people as a backdrop, but really the intention too is to help you develop your intercultural skills in ways that, you can take forward from the program into other settings, as you're interacting with, other cultures outside of Spain, or varying levels of and degrees of difference, pretty much in many aspects of your life going forward. So that is a very intentional part of the program.
Great. I don't know if there are any other questions. Feel free to add them in the chat box, but I would just say, as someone who has seen students participate in this program for over 10 years now, I think the reviews that we get from this program are phenomenal. Amy mentioned a couple of times the names Mark and Maria, and if you decide to go on this program, Mark and Maria will become really integral parts of your life. Everybody loves Mark and Maria, and they're really amazing cornerstones of the program, and will really help to individualize the experience to help you reach your specific goals that you're looking to get out of the study abroad experience. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to coordinate scheduling enough with our two most recent returnees from this program, but one of the students, Jack Spangler, was in the host family photo that Amy shared earlier. And then the other student, Kate Harris, she has been really active in promoting the program, but like I said, unfortunately wasn't able to participate today. But they are both more than happy to share their experience, to talk with you, to answer any questions that you may have, specifically from the student point of view, because that's something that we don't have as administrators and staff, and faculty. So I'm happy to share that information out. I'll probably send a follow-up email to you, Nagore, with some, this video recording, student contact information, that sort of thing. And then if you wouldn't mind sharing it with your students, that would be lovely. And if there are any other administrative type questions, I'm happy to help, as are my colleagues in international programs, as is Amy. So does anybody have any other questions at this point? I don't see anything else coming up. So I want to thank you all so much for being here, especially during this really busy time of the semester. We really appreciate it. And I hope that we get to work with you in the future, and that Granada is a part of your future planning.
Sure.
Well, thank you so much, Amy and Carmen, for the information and for all of your help.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for getting the word out. We appreciate it. Thank you so much, Amy.
Yeah, of course. Nice to see you all. Thank you all so much for being here.
Yeah. Take care, everyone. Good luck with the rest of the semester.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.